Do you dream of fairies and princesses? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePauli, and welcome to the House of Mouse headlines brought to you by laughingplace.com, your up-to-date resource for the latest Disney news every day of the week. This episode is being released on November 17th, 2021, and here's what's been going on in the world of Disney recently. Tons of Disney Plus Day announcements and offerings, Life Day celebrations coming to the Disney parks, a major change to Web Slingers boarding procedures, and more. It's all coming your way right after this. Another year is winding down, and as is tradition, the Disney Coast to Coast 2022 wall and desk calendars are now available to order at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. Each year, I put together a calendar featuring photos that I've taken from around the Disneyland Resort and Walt Disney World theme parks. Plus, each Disney park's opening date anniversary is noted on the calendar, because let's face it, those days are pretty much a holiday for us Disney fans. Each calendar purchase goes directly into helping produce the next season of Disney Coast to Coast. So if you've been enjoying these free episodes of Disney Coast to Coast this past year, help keep the show alive either by purchasing a calendar for yourself, or it makes a great holiday gift for any Disney fan in your life. Simply visit DisneyCoastToCoast.com and click on the large calendar button to check out all of the different photos featured and to order your wall or desk calendar today.
Hear the latest news from the Walt Disney Company in today's House of Mouse headlines.
Next month, Hong Kong Disneyland will be celebrating the holiday season with a unique offering. On December 3rd and 4th, the resort will present a live orchestra performance titled A Magical Nighttime Symphony. The evening will feature the Hong Kong Philharmonic Orchestra in front of the majestic Castle of Magical Dreams, joined by Mickey Mouse and other beloved Disney friends as they perform classic Disney and Christmas songs. Outside of these special performances, Hong Kong Disneyland's holiday festivities will be available from November 19th, 2021 until January 2nd, 2022. Although the holiday season is now underway at the Disneyland Resort, one guest favorite overlay is not yet available. According to reports by the Orange County Register, It's a Small World holiday suffered flooding that damaged some mechanics, leading the ride to remain closed. On the literal bright side, the attraction's exterior lights are still operational and will continue to be illuminated nightly. At the time of recording, there's no indication when this year's overlay will be ready to debut, but here's hoping it's a small wait after all. After operating exclusively with a virtual queue since its debut, Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure, is now testing a standby option. In this case, the attraction will implement a hybrid system that will utilize standby access and only activate the virtual queue on certain days and at certain times. As a result, Disney is encouraging guests hoping to ride Web Slingers to check the attraction listing in the Disneyland app for the current status throughout the day. With Disney's Encanto hitting theaters later this month, guests visiting Disney California Adventure now have the opportunity to meet the film's protagonist. Mirabel of the family Madrigal can be found at her own meet-and-greet location in Paradise Gardens as part of this year's Viva Navidad celebration. Along with Mirabel's arrival, the gazebo has been decorated with artwork, decor, and more inspired by the film. You can find Mirabel throughout this holiday season and catch Encanto in theaters November 24th. Walt Disney World has released more details on one of its annual traditions. We now have a complete list of celebrity narrators that will appear as part of this year's Candlelight Processional programming. Some of the additions since the previous announcement include Moana star Auli'i Cravalho, SNL alum Anna Gasteyer, actor Andy Garcia, and more. These nightly narrations are all part of the Epcot International Festival of the Holidays, which runs from November 26th and continues through December 30th. For the complete Candlelight schedule, be sure to visit the Walt Disney World website. This past week, the Walt Disney Company announced its fourth quarter and full 2021 fiscal year earnings results, discussing them in a conference call with investors. During that session, CEO Bob Chapek and CFO Christine McCarthy revealed some interesting tidbits related to the park operations. First, Chapek noted that approximately 1/3 of Walt Disney World guests have opted to purchase Disney Genie Plus since the service has launched. Furthermore, he stated that response to the product has been overwhelmingly positive. I guess he doesn't spend any time on social media. Meanwhile, when asked about how the parks are responding to rising inflation, McCarthy said the company was discussing different options, including trying other food suppliers or potentially shrinking dining portion sizes, before going on to make an off-color joke about guests' waistlines that took some listeners by surprise. However, McCarthy said that the parks were looking to make changes like these instead of raising prices across the board. Finally, outside of the parks, while Disney Plus now has 118 million paid subscribers, that figure is up only 2 million from the previous quarter. As a result, Disney stock has been slumping since that call. The official Disney Fan Club's Destination D23 event is just around the corner, taking place from November 19th through the 21st. Ahead of those dates, a schedule of panels that will be live streamed on Saturday the 20th and Sunday the 21st has been announced. Some of the highlights include Connections, a look at the future of Disney parks, experiences, and products, world building for Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, Onboard the Disney Wish, creativity and inspiration set sail, retrospectives looking at the Disney parks in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and more. Of course, schedules and events are subject to change, but for more information and to stream select panels live, be sure to visit d23.com. When The Mighty Ducks Game Changers returns to Disney Plus for Season 2, one notable star will apparently be missing. Emilio Estevez, who played Coach Gordon Bombay in the original film franchise as well as the first season of the series, will not return. Although original reporting indicated that Estevez was released due to an unwillingness to comply with Disney's vaccine mandate for productions, the actor later released a lengthy statement clarifying that he was not anti-vax, instead attributing his departure to creative differences and being anti-bully. He concluded his statement writing, "To the fans of the franchise, I am as disappointed as you are. To my Ducks cast and crew, have a wonderful Season 2 on the show, and please know that I will miss you all. It was an honor and a thrill to be able to return as the iconic and beloved character Gordon Bombay, a character which has been a celebrated benchmark in my 40-year career. And I thank the studio and the producers for creating an opportunity to allow me to visit him again. Ducks fly together." It looks as though Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot could be making a heel turn to become a Disney villain. According to Deadline, Gadot is in final negotiations to play the evil queen in Disney's upcoming Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs live-action adaptation. She would star opposite West Side Story actress Rachel Zegler, who has been cast as Snow White. Mark Webb is set to serve as director with Mark Platt producing. No firm release date for the project has been announced yet, but production is wishing to get underway in 2022. And now it's time to bring back Kyle Burbank from laughingplace.com. Hello, Kyle.
Hey, Jeff.
How was your Disney Plus day, Kyle?
It was pretty busy, but I got to enjoy some content in there, so...
Excellent, excellent. Well, before we get into the announcements of Disney Plus Day, as far as what content is going to be coming to the streaming service, first of all, I guess we should say Disney Plus Day was November 12th, and the reason it's November 12th is because that was the day of the launch in 2019. So it's been 2 years since Disney Plus. Sometimes it's I can't believe it's been around that long, and then sometimes it's I feel like it's been around forever, and then I'm oh my gosh, thank God the Walt Disney Company has it, or else I don't know what the last 2 years would have been for them.
Yeah, and I think it's funny to go back and look at some of the things that they've released over the past 2 years and be oh yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Even in their sizzle reels sometimes, you're oh yeah, I forgot that exists. Disney Family Sundays.
In the Hilary Duff, Lizzie McGuire reboot, right?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that you don't remember for a reason. But yeah, Togo. Remember Togo?
The title sounds familiar. I don't remember what that was, though.
It was the Willem Dafoe... it was kind of like Balto, but about a different dog.
Yes. Interesting. Well, in any case, Disney Plus Day was a big deal. This was the first Disney Plus Day, even though it's the second anniversary. They didn't really do anything last year. And as I said, they did announce some content stuff, but I find even more interesting what happened in the parks. I'm not going to lie, I was really busy on November 12th and I wasn't paying that much attention. So it's not until I went back and saw what was going on. I was just holy crap, especially at Disneyland, where like that whole entrance around Floral Mickey was just covered in blue Disney Plus carpet, like and blue bunting everywhere and everything. Like it was as if it was a movie premiere. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people commenting like clearly this came out of the studios or Disney Plus budget and not the park's budget.
Yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, a lot of people were saying, wow, it looks like they did more for Disney Plus Day than they did for Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary. And like to a point, it's it's obviously not factual, but I can see where they're coming from when they say that. It was a big deal. We had that. We also had free buttons and free hats for guests entering the parks, not only at Disneyland, but also I know Disney's Hollywood Studios as well. We also had Agatha Harkness appearing at Disney California Adventure over at Avengers Campus, which up until now, you could only see her there during Oogie Boogie Bash. So that's a win.
Hopefully that's continued. I think it was appropriate to bring it on Disney Plus Day, but I really hope that, well, we'll talk more about it, hopefully, but I hope she becomes a staple.
Yeah, and then, of course, there was a special cavalcade and some photo ops at Disney's Hollywood Studios as well. They had the giant logo in the ground at Disney's Hollywood Studios, kind of near the Chinese Theater. I don't know. This was like, they went all out for Disney Plus Day. And I don't know, was a lot of this announced in advance, or was most of it a surprise?
Some of it was, I think, like Disneyland Paris at Walt Disney Studios Park also did some stuff. Like they lit up the Tower of Terror blue, and I think they had characters wearing blue costumes and things like that. It was announced on like the Monday before, different elements of it, but I don't know if people realized exactly what it was gonna be like. And we didn't even mention the early entry for Disney Plus subscribers, which I think a lot of people just assumed meant the parks were going to be opening early. But now, actually, if you look in your Walt Disney World app, it'll show whether or not you're a Disney Plus subscriber.
No kidding. That's really...
Assuming you have the same email address as your Disney Plus and your MDX.
Wow, that's interesting. Man, we're getting big brothered by Disney. They're watching us everywhere. Fun. So yeah, it was a big deal. I'm surprised that the Disneyland 60th costumes didn't get taken out. Those were all blue. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's the holidays. We got to stick with the holiday stuff, I guess. Shall we get into some of the content that they actually talked about?
I think so.
There's a lot. I kind of have a random list of what I find to be interesting. And Kyle, instead of just reading down this list, I think what we should do is, after I read a title, I want you to make some sort of noise describing how you feel about these projects, okay? Will you play along?
Okay.
It can be anything. It can be a groan, a yahoo, a meh, whatever you want to do, okay? We have Cheaper by the Dozen remake coming in March of 2022.
Yeah, Zach Braff. And Gabrielle Union. I like them both.
All right. So we got a yay from you. Disenchanted, the sequel to Enchanted, is coming in fall of 2022.
Never saw the first one, but yay.
You've never seen the first one. Wow.
I can watch it now on Disney Plus.
I was going to say, like, I felt like I was behind because I've seen it like one time, I think, in the theater, and that's it. And I know some people really love it. I never like fell into that category. But yeah, I think a lot of people are looking very forward to this one. We have the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie coming on December 3rd with a second film called Roderick Rules coming in 2022. Meh. Yeah. I never read those books as a kid, so that's that. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers live action CG hybrid coming in spring of 2022.
Woo!
Yeah,
this one looks like a lot of fun, and has looked like a lot of fun. They had a little thing during the Investor Day last year. So I've been waiting for this one ever since, and I liked the little intro that they had from the stars, Andy Samberg and John Mulaney.
Excellent. We got Hocus Pocus 2 coming in fall of 2022, and we got an image of the three stars back in their witch wardrobe. No,
I don't like Hocus Pocus.
Wait a second. You don't like Hocus Pocus, or you're just not the biggest fan?
I watched it on an airplane, and I don't get it.
Okay.
I'm jealous. I wish that I enjoyed it as much as you and Aaron.
Let me just say, no movie should ever be judged on an airplane viewing. I think that should just be a blanket statement rule. Like, no. You can't judge a movie's goodness after watching it on a tiny screen on an airplane. No, one of the most miserable conditions on earth. It's like the complete opposite way you should watch a movie. I don't accept that. You need to watch it again.
I think I liked it more because it was 2 hours that I killed on an international flight. So I think it was an enhancement.
What'd you think of the girls in their costumes, though? Didn't that even maybe excite you a little? Like, oh, look, no, nothing.
No. The stage show at Magic Kingdom was fun.
Oh, man. All right, we're going to move on before the fight breaks out here. Live action Pinocchio coming in fall of 2022. Is Tom Hanks actually part of this? Okay.
Yes.
So that is happening. I didn't know if that was one of those rumor things. There's so much news. It's crazy.
This particular movie has been in the works for a long time, so there have been a lot of people attached to it. But yeah, Tom Hanks that one stuck.
Okay. The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild, premiering January 28th, 2022.
Meh.
I find this fascinating, just like that Disney is continuing the Ice Age franchise. Because there's Blue Sky, right? So it was part of the Fox acquisition. And this is just kind of fascinating to me that they're going to keep doing stuff with these characters. And I wonder if we'll see them in the parks at some point.
I that would actually be interesting. This one is weird in that they're sending them back in time to the time of the dinosaurs. I'm like, but there are dinosaurs. What? Didn't you already... I don't understand the timeline of Ice Age.
Yeah, that's interesting. We got Sneakerella, a new musical premiering on February 18th, 2022. I hadn't really heard about this one.
I didn't even watch the trailer. I looked at the poster because it was on the thread. What's less than meh? Just silence? Crickets?
A groan. Ugh. Ugh. All right. First of all, it's a musical, so don't it. We can go meh, but no.
I guess I should watch the trailer and then maybe.
Yeah, you should watch the trailer, then judge it. The Simpsons and Plusiversary.
That was I liked it.
I didn't see it.
I think it's a lot of fun.
So what happened here? Goofy gets drunk with Homer?
I don't know if he gets maybe tipsy. There's a Plusiversary party at Moe's and Homer's on the list, but then Goofy invites him in and they have some duffs together. And I read something that, the creators of The Simpsons talked to Disney and they're, agreed that characters that are looked up to by younger viewers and stuff like Belle, it wouldn't be appropriate for her to be drinking. But because Goofy is established to be an adult and has a child, that they thought it was okay if he had some beers.
Who is running the Walt Disney Company these days? I am so confused. I don't think character integrity exists anymore. And
it's not Bill Farmer as Goofy though. It's an impersonation of Goofy. So there's a little separation there.
Agatha, House of Harkness. We got a full title.
Yeah.
Yay!
I'd be screaming louder, except I don't want to deafen your listeners.
Thank you. This is exciting. I mean, we've already talked about I'm excited about her getting a spinoff. I think the title is clever. House of Harkness. Come on.
Yeah. I'm very excited that this got confirmed and is in the pipeline.
Yep. Then we get Ciao Alberto.
I thought it was pretty fun.
Did you actually watch it? This is a short,
I did.
Right?
This is a short. Yeah, that's now streaming. It's basically what... after the girl and Luca leave, he's with her dad, and it's a very sweet story.
I love those characters. I really do love that movie, man. Gosh, I loved that movie so much. By the way, if you don't know what we're talking about Luca. So there we go. Anyway, Willow coming in 2022. I gotta be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen Willow all the way through. I'm gonna admit something here that I'm not proud of. I was terrified of little people as like a kid into like a teenager. Like the Lollipop Guild and the Wizard of Oz really messed me up. And it wasn't until that show Little People Big World on TLC came along. Now I love Little People. Like I've actually like gone to their farm because I'm like such a huge fan of theirs and like I love them. But I was like so scared of them that I never saw Willow as a kid.
I've never seen Willow, but it's not for the same reason. Actually, my uncle is a dwarf, so I was used to being around little people. I've never seen Willow. I've heard it's good, but the the Meet the Cast thing that they did was hilarious. It was actually like one of my favorite things that happened on Disney Plus Day. So now I'm more interested in the series just because of how funny and awesome that was.
Exactly. So yes, Warwick Davis, right? That's his name?
Warwick
Warwick. That's right. He was correcting people, which I'd never heard him do before. I guess it's pronounced Warwick. Warwick Davis, the guy who plays Willow, and we know, of course, from a lot of Star Wars films. He goes around introducing the new cast, and he has a very dry sense of humor. He has worked with Ricky Gervais on stuff, so like it's that kind of, British comedy, and it was really funny. Like, I actually sat and watched the whole video, which was several minutes long, and it just like kept my attention. It was so good. So that's coming in 2022. I do want to mention we got season 2, or at least the first 5 episodes of season 2 of The World According to Jeff Goldblum. I jumped to episode 5 because it's an episode called Monsters, and I'm just going to plug real quickly here. I was very happy to see my friend Amy from 13th Floor Entertainment Group featured in this episode. And if you don't know, this past Halloween season, the Halloween podcast I produced, that Halloween podcast, was all about 13th Floor Entertainment Group. So it was kind of fun to see them be part of this show that I love so much, The World According to Jeff Goldblum. I loved it.
That's very cool. I'll have to go check that one out. We watched the Magic one because I am a big fan of Penn and Teller, so I was excited to see that one.
I will watch them all for sure. I just jumped ahead because I'd known about this episode for a while and I had to keep my lips sealed about it. But I was pretty excited to hear that they were going to be part of it. And I think it's really cool. And yeah, that's some of the highlights that I picked out. Are there any titles that I didn't mention that you're specifically excited about?
So they're doing I guess like a continuation or a sequel series to the X-Men animated cartoon from the 90s, and it's going to be called X-Men 97. And that concept is just very interesting to me. It's kind of out of left field. They did a great announcement. Like their poster was like a meme of Wolverine, like looking at this photo. So I think that's really interesting. And then, like you said, Agatha is probably at the top of my list there.
Cool. So yeah, Disney Plus Day came and went, but Disney Plus is here to stay. So we got lots of content coming, and so there's that. And let's move on to a special Life Day food and beverages becoming available in Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland only, right?
I think there's going to be some merchandise at Walt Disney World. I don't know if these food offerings are there or not.
Okay, I'm not going to get through all these specifics, but November 17th is Life Day from the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special. That's where it was introduced. It was the Wookiee planet's kind of Thanksgiving, right? And this is something that, I've kind of been waiting for to see happen in Galaxy's Edge. I was like, they have to, right? I mean, the holidays in the parks are huge. I was like, they have to acknowledge Life Day. And so over at Katsaka's Kettle, as well as Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo and Oga's Cantina, they're having some specialty food and drinks. There's one I want to point out, and that is the pork belly slider skewer over at Oga's Cantina. Is this the first time there's food available at Oga's, or am I just in the dark on this?
I've only been to Oga's once, and it was for breakfast, and I did have food, but it was just like a cinnamon roll sort of a thing. So I don't know. I feel like they've probably had like small bites before, but like I said, I've only been once and in the morning.
Okay. I'd only gone twice and only ever really saw drinks, so I could be completely wrong, but that did just stick out to me. I was like, oh, like food options at Oga's. That might be new, but I could be totally wrong, so don't take my word for that. But yeah, so Life Day is starting to be celebrated. This is not surprising at all because in that book, The Visitor's Guide to Batuu, it is mentioned, the Life Day celebration and like stuff, that this is recognized on the planet of Batuu. Of course, I discussed this on a DCTC episode with Laughing Place resident Star Wars nerd and your pal and my pal, Mike Celestino. So not shocked and expect more of it in the future because like they go into detail in that book about like decorations and like even I think like kind of like prayer moments and stuff to celebrate the day. So I think in the years to come, we're just going to keep seeing Life Day get bigger and bigger and hopefully head over to the East Coast as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that they were probably planning to do last year, but didn't work out. So I'm glad that they're kind of introducing it this year. And like I said, there are going to be some merch, including on Shop Disney. So you won't be completely left out of Life Day if you can't make it to the park.
Excellent. Now some big news that that broke kind of, soon before we started recording, and that is that Mickey's Toontown is closing in Disneyland Park in March 2022. Just going to leave that there for a moment. That's the clickbait. Oh, in order to make way for a reimagining of the land opening in 2023. wow, this is a little surprising, not surprising. I mean, we knew there's a ton of construction going on there right now because of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway coming. But I mean, the fact that they're going to close it all together for a good chunk of time means we're getting a pretty hefty reimagining.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of questions about it. It doesn't look like Gadget's Go Coaster is going to be sticking around, which, makes sense, sadly. But I think the biggest question is about Roger Rabbit. It looks like the building is still there in the concept art, which, by the way, you shouldn't look for too many clues in concept art, as we've learned. But they're just doing this like kind of re-theming of that ride now. So it seems kind of weird to do that if you're just going to close it a few months later. So I'm really curious about that.
I did see a lot of people get a little nervous about the Roger Rabbit ride, Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, and I had the same thought. I was like, wait a sec, aren't they like just redoing it to make Jessica Rabbit more of a featured character or give her a story in the attraction? Unless they're like really because listen, those changes are happening because of problematic elements with that character, I guess. And so maybe they're just like, this is more trouble than it's worth, and they're just not even going to bother. I think it's sticking around, personally.
I hope so. I really enjoy that ride, and I don't think it's beyond safe. I think there's so many ways that they could upgrade that ride to fit whatever aesthetic they're going to be introducing. Because to me, I like the look of Toontown to a degree, but it's really starting to age. Like, it's starting to, like, I wouldn't say it's run down, but it feels run down. You know what I'm saying? Like, it looks, everything's polished and clean the way it should be, except that it just seems off.
Well, it's faded. I mean, the vibrant colors aren't vibrant anymore. So it's very faded. It needs a facelift. I'm a little surprised just because I kind of felt like when the time came for that, it was going to be like, bye-bye Fantasyland Theater, bye-bye Toontown, hello new Fantasyland. That's what I always kind of expected to happen. I think Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway kind of changed all of that. Although, frankly, I feel like that could have been worked into a new Fantasyland as well. But yeah, that's not what we're getting. There's a lot of talk of, will there be an entrance into Galaxy's Edge from here? Because the backside of it touches Galaxy's Edge. And, this is a land that's tucked very much in a corner of Disneyland. I'll say I probably walk into it 50% of the times that I go to Disneyland. And granted, it's made for very young kids for the most part. But I don't know. I feel like it might need some more access to it if they're going to make it better, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I like they're kind of, I don't know, part of what they were saying with this rehab is that they're going to expand it and have parts for kids to like run around, and I don't know why, like, I understand why people want that, but at the same time, I don't. Like, I never understood people that like wear bathing suits to come just do the splash pad thing. I'm like, is this really all you're doing? Unless you're just entertaining like little kids while bigger kids go do other stuff.
Yeah, it's the concept of like you buy a kid an awesome toy and they play with the empty box, which, is crazy, but also super factual. I mean, neither of us have kids, but I have, nieces and a nephew, and you see stuff like that all the time where they're just like, and I see it just even walking through the parks. You give kids a splash zone, they lose their minds. Like, they love it. And the one thing that does surprise me a little bit is they say there will be interactive elements. I kind of thought like interactive elements would be going away from theme parks because I just think of touch points, right? And in the world of post-COVID, I felt like it was going to be like, let's get rid of as much of this as possible. And apparently not. Apparently we're going to have stuff like that. There's going to be open grassy play spaces. There's going to be a place called Toontown Park where there's going to be a play fountain, some water play, and a nighttime experience with water. I'm going to be surprised if this doesn't take some of like the Moana elements that we're going to see at Epcot and use them here. That's my guess. Could be wrong.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that, but I do take issue. I think Toontown Park probably shouldn't open until 2028.
Fair enough. And then we got a dreaming tree in the park, or in the land, which I think is cool because I actually got to visit the Walt's real dreaming tree in Marceline, Missouri. And I just love whenever, of course, there's little Walt touch points. I think that's great. So yeah, this is an exciting update, unexpected. And, considering the amount of construction we've been seeing ongoing there, like in plain daylight, things being destroyed, it probably makes sense to close the gates at this point.
Yeah, it feels very late game. Like, I don't know when they came up with this idea, but I feel like they've been kind of getting conflicting things, and they're like, all right, well, let's just do this. But I mean, we've been talking about the possibility of that land closing forever. You mentioned New Fantasyland. That was a rumor. We mentioned Galaxy's Edge taking that space. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that for all intents and purposes, it will still be Mickey's Toontown. I wouldn't be surprised if they tweaked the name, but it's still going to be that basic idea.
It always should have been Roger Rabbit's Toontown. If anything, Mickey's Toontown makes more sense now than ever, considering the new ride going in. But if you want to check it out before it closes officially, March 2022 is when it's going to be closing, and then reopening at some point in 2023. Now, Kyle, since the last time we spoke, you've been to Walt Disney World, and you have done a Run Disney event. How'd it go?
It was pretty good. I did the 10K. My wife did the 10K and the half marathon. And, this was the first in-person race that they've done since 2019, I guess. Unless, I forget if they snuck one in the very beginning of 2020. But it's been a while. And there were definitely some changes. For one, they got rid of, they used to do corrals and they were lettered. They kind of switched to just starts. So they had start 1, 2, and 3, and 4. But they actually, instead of having dedicated times, they basically just sent a wave of runners every few minutes, which is actually a lot how they did it in Disneyland Paris for one of the races we did there. So we were actually kind of used to that, but that was different. But other than that, obviously there are some distance meet and greets, some changes to the way the expo that they have beforehand where you go pick up your bib and stuff. Some of that was scaled down from previous years, but otherwise it was pretty much the same.
Were you there the day that it was totally pouring rain during the race?
No, so that was for the 5K. It rained all day Friday. Okay. Saturday, it said it wasn't going to rain, but it was instead just cold, misting, and windy. So still not great weather. But then apparently the weather was much nicer for that Sunday, for the half marathon at least.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. There were a few things. Last time we were talking, I talked about how I had just gone to Walt Disney World, and I forgot to mention a few little touch points that were kind of new to me. So I do want to mention, I saw Spaceship Earth in person with the, what do they call it? The
Beacons of
Magic. Yeah. I saw that. It is, honest to God, Spaceship Earth in general is just one of the most beautiful structures on the face of the earth in my mind. And this Beacon of Magic stuff is glorious and sometimes not. Let me explain. When did you see it in person?
We saw it from a distance. We didn't see it. We didn't see the show from up close.
Okay.
But we walked by it, obviously.
When it has its standard lighting package, the stuff we're used to before those Beacons of Magic points were added, when it uses the original lighting plus the new light points, it is stunningly gorgeous. I said to Aaron Wallace, if this was a woman, it would turn me straight. Oh my God. I'm in love with Spaceship Earth. But when they shut off the normal lighting package and it's just those touch points, they kind of do 8-bit sort of graphics on it. I think it is so tacky. I just wish they'd stop doing that. I'm sure some people are enjoying it, so hey, don't do it just for me, obviously, but I think it looks really bad when they do that. But when it's got all the lights on, oh my gosh, it's stunning. Absolutely stunning. And then I got stuck on Spaceship Earth.
You got stuck on it?
I did. Backing down the incline back to Earth, and it's rough to get out when you're at that angle, I will tell you. I thought to myself, if I had a grandma with me, this would not be going well. It was crazy.
How long were you stuck for?
About 20 minutes or so.
And then you got evac'd, or did it start moving?
No, we had to walk out. It was crazy.
I've only been evac'd off of a ride once, and that was Phantom Manor in Paris.
Oh, that's a fun one to do it.
It was. We were stuck. When they turned on the lights, we got to see how the Pepper's Ghost worked.
Nice. That's cool. Very cool. I also got to see the pre-show for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which I didn't get to see because it was shut off the last time I was there. I love this pre-show. I won't say anything about it just in case people have kept themselves in the dark. It's really nice to know nothing about it and go in. I sadly didn't know nothing about it, but even still, I was like, whoa, this is a moment. I love it. Have you done it in person?
Yeah, so the first time we rode the ride, it was when they had just reopened the pre-show. So I got to see that, and then the next time we went on, it it was operating, but they were having difficulties, so it wasn't playing.
Okay.
So, yes, I'm very glad that I saw it, even though I was spoiled by some stills previously.
Super, super cool. I also used Disney Genie for about 5 minutes and decided, this is not good. Did you use it at all?
We didn't. We were only there for a few hours during normal times because we went to a after party for the half marathon at Epcot on Sunday night. So there wasn't really an opportunity to use it.
So that's a big problem with Disney Genie, though. Like, I was only in the park till about 4 p.m. that day because I had to get to the airport. And there's no place to put, like, a time you're leaving. So when you select the stuff you want to do, it'll be like, sure, do it at 6:30 p.m. I'm like, well, I'm gone. So, like, that's a huge flaw in the system. Frankly, like, it's an upsell program, and it seems more like a way for the parks to spread out crowds than actually help you see what you want to see, because in a lot of cases they just completely negated what I selected as wanting to see, and instead they were like, you should build a droid. I was like, no, I don't want to build a droid. So it's pretty horrible. It's in the early stages. Maybe it'll get better, but holy crap, Disney Genie is a Disney fail in my book. But then one super win. You know what I did do? The new free attraction, the Frontierland Shooting Gallery. I have now shot every single target in the Magic Kingdom Frontierland Shooting Gallery. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I did it. Never missed a shot. Kaboom.
I don't know if I hit all of them, but I also, when we went to the Christmas party, I made a point as we walked by. I'm like, I want to go play this. And it was so much fun. Like, there's just so many cool effects. I've always enjoyed doing that. So the fact that it's free and people are reasonable, like, even if you do shoot every target, it doesn't take that long and there's still so many stations. I think having it free is totally fine.
Totally. And you said you went to the Christmas party, right?
Yes.
Hold that. We're going to talk about that on the next House of Mouse headlines.
Okay.
This will be a bit closer to Christmas, past Thanksgiving, and I want to hear your thoughts on that. So hold that. Before we do go, I do want to say Laughing Place sent out a tweet today that had me laughing my butt off. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I'm going to guess you're talking about the announcement before Kite Tales.
Holy moly, I can't believe this is real life. There is now an announcement before Kite Tales, the infamous Kite Tales, where we get to see kites crash in the stands of crowds at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now there's an announcement that says, very excitedly, what goes up must come down. And they basically explain. What was that, Kyle?
You got to do the slide whistle.
And they basically explained that, like, yeah, you're going to see kites crash, and that's okay. It's all part of the show. I can't even believe this is real life. Like, they're now justifying bad production value. It's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, that was definitely a funny moment.
Unbelievable. And before we do go, I want to congratulate, huge congratulations to Mouseketeer and I'm sure frequent DCTC listener, Britney Spears, who is now a free woman as her 13-year conservatorship has ended. Yay, MICKEYMOUSE. You can hear all about Britney's Disney history in a recent episode of DCTC number 829. But hey, great news for her.
Maybe she'll get that Disney Legend ship now.
Dude, seriously, I would kind of love that. Like, if Christina has it, I feel like Britney should. And frankly, I was a little upset when Christina got it and, like, Kerry Russell hasn't gotten it. They were on Mickey Mouse Club together. I'm like, Kerry Russell did Felicity, which was a Disney show. She's now in Star Wars. She's in Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. How can Christina have it and Kerry Russell not? Just saying. You with me?
Cry Me a River.
Cry Me a River. That's Justin Timberlake.
He's part of the Mickey Mouse Club too. Are you going to give it to him?
Anywho.
And Ryan Gosling,
yeah. But I mean, Kerry, actually, if you look at it, I feel like Kerry Russell has more Disney connections than the other people from the Mickey Mouse Club. I could be wrong, but just off the top of my head, I just listed 4 big Disney connections. Just saying. Just leaving that there.
The biggest. Which is Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, of course, the biggest, right?
It's literally
the biggest. She was in a giant baby's overalls for half the movie. Anywho, Kyle, now we're just talking nonsense. Anything you want to add before we get going?
I don't think so.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining. I'll see you again in a couple weeks.
All right.
To read more about any and all of the stories you've heard here today, simply visit the show notes link in this episode's description. You've heard the news, and now I want to hear what you have to say about it. What do you think of all the new content announced for Disney+? Is there anything in particular you're looking most forward to? Share your thoughts on that or any other topics mentioned in today's episode. Call 818-860-2569 and you may just hear yourself on a future episode of Disney Coast to Coast. On last week's episode, we discussed the final sitcom currently on the Primetime at the Parks list, Step by Step. And next week, I have a conversation for you that I very much enjoyed with one of the producers of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade as we discuss the different Disney mega balloons featured in the iconic parade throughout the years. The easiest way to make sure you don't miss any of the magic is by subscribing to Disney Coast to Coast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Wherever you search, don't forget it's Disney with a Z, Coast to Coast. Now that this episode is winding down, it's the perfect time to head to DisneyCoastToCoast.com and check out the 2022 calendars now available to order. This episode has been executive produced by Robert Scontrino. Gain rewards like Robert by visiting patreon.com/Disney with a Z, CTC. That link, plus the DCTC hotline and some free gifts from me to you, can all be found in this episode's description. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. This podcast is part of the DePodcast Network. Learn more about this show, plus find more quality and entertaining podcasts at DePodcastNetwork.com. That's DEPodcastNetwork.com.